Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Patrick Precourt here. Welcome to our third week in Wholesale Challenge. Great to have you guys here. Pretty amped up to be here as always. So if you see me looking up, it's just because there's a toolbar that runs across here that shows me what's working, what's not in the um, um, webinar hangout that we're using. Okay, so it's not that I'm looking away from you. I mean, I kind of am, but it's just to make sure that this is all broadcasting out the way it's supposed to. So, welcome to third week, crushing week this week. Hope you guys had an awesome week last week. Hope we started reaching out, doing a little of our homework, starting to test the waters a bit. I said this many times before. I'll say it again. We don't learn this stuff sitting here on Thursday nights. Listen to me talk about it. It's not how you learn about wholesale. You learn it by doing it. I'll give you some of the pieces. I'll give you all the pieces, but you learn it by doing it. You get results by doing it. Every action has a result, a reaction, right? So with that said, if there's any feedback or thoughts you want to share from your homework last week, that's awesome. As we go along here, I'll certainly read anything you want to share. But what I really like to do is get right into tonight's call. Tonight's call, I call it like the magic behind the conversation. At the end of the day, we're not solving house problems, we're solving people problems. So if you cannot talk to people, you're dead in the water. I don't care how good a wholesaler you think you are. I don't care how good a real estate person you think you are. I don't care how good a salesman you think you are. If you can't talk to people, connect with people, build rapport with people, you're going to fall flat on your face. You see, Mr. Robert Vargas is here. Robert, you know what I'm talking about, right? You've been in sales all your life. If you cannot connect with the consumer, there ain't nothing here. So we'll go back to some earlier discussions about what makes wholesaling work, so we can understand the context of this this conversation. But I would share with you the idea that wholesaling in and of itself is a technique, but the technique is founded in the idea that people have problems that we're going to solve for them. We solve the problems, wholesaling works. We don't address the problems, this stuff doesn't work. So tonight's call is going to be about the conversation with the seller of the property. We'll also dive a little into how to talk to investor buyers, because of course they're a big piece of this puzzle. They're a little, I won't say less significant, they're equally significant, but they're less challenging. They're more numbers driven. There's a magic in dealing with sellers. And one thing I'll remind you is the idea that time changes circumstances. Time changes circumstances. And circumstances are what contribute to somebody's need or desire to accept less for their house now in order to solve a bigger problem, the circumstance. That makes sense? And the reason I preceded that with the statement of time changes circumstances is the idea that just because somebody's not ready now doesn't mean they won't be later. I'll give you a personal example where I was the person, right? And this was back ways when we had our first boat. Our first boat was this 23-foot power play, go fast, big block Chevy, like 500 horsepower, exhaust bellowing out the back, loud, noisy, fast, awesome, right? Then we had a kid. My wife was like, we should probably sell the boat. Get something different than buying whatever. But because the kid was young and it was wintertime, no boating going on. No, this, I'm sorry. This was Patrick. This is no, June, sorry. First kid. And It's not there was no boat, or too much going on in our lives to boat this year, and he was too small, right? So I had an offer. I was trying to sell it. I had an offer, but I wasn't really that driven. Wasn't pushed yet. And I was asking $15,000 for the boat. And I was asking, yeah, $15,000 for the boat. Somebody came to me with a $12,500 cash in hand offer. I wanted 15 because I knew it was worth 15, primarily because I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into it. There's a bit of emotion attached, right? Somebody came with a $12,500 offer, cash in hand, had nothing else pending. I turned it down. Quite honestly, my drive, my circumstance wasn't such that I needed to sell. Wasn't going to use it anyways. So now come around to next winter. My boy's going to be a year old come this summer. We missed a boating season, which is unheard of in a Precourt family. We buy another boat, buy this 30-foot boat. Now I got two boats. And my wife is on me. And the boat that, so now we have two boat mortgages. And the new boat, of course, at 30 feet is much more than the old boat. And my wife is on me, and we got two mortgages. Anyways, long story short, I sold that damn boat 10 months later, 10 mortgage payments later. Not for the 15 I was asking, not for the 12.5 in cash that I could have gotten a year earlier, but for $11,000. Time changes circumstances. I was happy. I was ready. I was making that deal happen. Keep that in mind as you take in what we're going to talk about here, but also as you're talking to individuals, right? If their need isn't there, the circumstances aren't such, deal ain't happening the way you need it, so don't force it. So let's talk about value. What is value? Well, I'll share the idea that if people squawk about price, there's only two reasons. One, they flat out can't afford it. Or two, they don't see the value in it. So look at it in terms of you're going to buy, I'm going to go buy a Yamaha motorcycle. And Yamaha wants $26,000 for it. You say no. It costs too much. It's not that it costs too much. You don't see the value in it, and neither do I. It's a Yamaha, and they were $26,000. If you walk next door to the Harley Davidson dealer, you got an American Screaming Eagle, Road King, brand new, decked out, $26,000. Like, I can see myself on that. So they're both two wheels, both got motors, they both go just as fast as each other, both got the bells and whistles. The difference is the perceived value. Perceived value, where we make our money. Okay? I'll get your question in a minute, Robert. If somebody squawks about it being too much, there's not a value in the deal. Now, what we're doing is kind of the opposite, but it's still value. We're still creating a gap. And really what we're saying is we'll solve your problem for X amount of dollars, but the X amount of dollars is represented in the discount we're getting on their property. So make sure you're clear on that. We're still selling them something. We're selling them a salvation to their challenge. And the cost of it is represented by the discount that we're going to get on the property. So if they don't see, they balk at our cost, our price, because one, they can't afford it, like if they owe too much on the house, or two, they don't see the value in this transaction. So this discussion, the conversation, is about value. One more thing I'll cede before we get into this discussion. is a little bit about how our brain works, right? Look at our brain broken into different parts. One part is very cerebral, thoughtful, intellectual side, deals with numbers and credibility and all that kind of stuff. The other is the emotional side of the brain. The emotional side of the brain does not understand language, but it is responsible for most of our decision making. That's important to know because we need them to make a decision on whether or not we can buy their house at the price we want, which means we have to communicate with the emotional side of the brain, not the intellectual side of the brain. The intellectual side of the brain will talk themselves out of everything. It always does. The emotional side of the brain has the guts to make a decision. So value is a representation of how much somebody's willing to pay for something. So what I'd like to do is we already started it. Go further into this with the discussion of how to create value, and then we'll take that and relate it to the actual conversation itself. Cool? Cool. All right, go here, we go here, 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 and here. We'll talk about that, Rob, okay? Rob's question is the purchase and sale agreement that's in our folder there is the wording in it allows us to collect our assignment through escrow as it is in about, that's how it's done in about probably 2/3 of the country. And he says, I thought we received assignment directly from assignee. That's how we do it here in Connecticut. And all you can just change that in there, Rob. Okay. Very simple. Most of the country does it through escrow. Not my style, but there are some customs. All right. Value. That blows, man. We noted last week that this would be better if I was standing up. Equals the gap between, I hate pens that do not right. That one is going to the garbage. Try this one. Much better. Heaven and hell. Pleasure and pain. Okay? If where they are, where they want to be, are side by side, little value. If this is out here, bigger value. Out here, much bigger value. The gap between the two represents value. Our job is to, in our conversation, to spread the two apart through conversation and then express them how we are the bridge to get from here to here. This is an art, no doubt. Your ability to do this, not just here, but in all environments, will serve you at a very high level. So how do you do this? Typical conversation that I see in here. Looks like a sad face. Between real estate investor and homeowner is, hey, my name is Pat. How you doing? I'm doing good. Well, I see you still have your house for sale. Yep, that is true. You're still interested in selling? I am. How much you looking to get for the house? Now, that may seem like a good way to start a conversation for everybody else, for those who suck at this and don't get great results, but it ain't the right way to do it. The right way to do it. So follow me on this. When I contact you, how much you want for your house, it immediately takes it to the thinking, intellectual side of the brain, which doesn't get any of this emotion stuff. Doesn't touch on heaven and hell, pain and pleasure. Goes directly to the numbers. I'm asking this. They're offering this. That's too much of a discount. No. They see no value when I just ask them a number. The value hasn't been created yet. And the conversation typically goes like, how much you going to get for your house? Oh, good. What's the minimum we take on the house? You haven't established rapport, you haven't established trust, and you have not created value in what you're going to offer. So you just shut yourself out of the deal. Follow me on that? When you go, hi, my name is Pat, still selling your house? Yes. How much you're going to get for it? Good. What's the least amount you'll take for it? Done. They're just doing the math. Well, I'm asking 130. I guess I'll take 128.5. It's just a math game because there's no value established. Right now, there's zero value. If the value is created between pain and pleasure, and we haven't touched on the pain or the pleasure, how is there going to be any existing value? The answer is there isn't. So the way the conversation should go is like this. We should first. Hi, my name is Pat Precourt. How you doing? Good. I see your house is still listed for sale. Are you still looking to sell? Awesome. Fantastic. Stop. Now you introduce yourself so they know who they're talking to. The key here, beyond your name, the key here is to take out any assumption or presumed fears. Okay. They say, my name is Pat. I'm a local real estate investor, and I'm interested in buying properties in this neck of the woods. How long have you owned the house? What I'm going to do now is very strategic. I let them know who I am, why I'm there specifically. No unknowns, no assumptions. How long have you owned the house? Oh, 30 years. Oh, really? My mom lived in her house 30 years. Blah, 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 blah. Did you raise your family in the house? Yeah. Oh, yeah. My two kids are grown, and now we have grandkids. Oh, cool. My kid as a grandfather. What I'm doing is I'm looking to connect the dots between him and me in some way, shape, or form. I'm pulling out things. I'm asking questions. In the question process, remember, does two things. Number one, builds rapport. Number two, gives you information about them, lets them talk about themselves, allows them to feel good. But you see what I'm doing? I'm getting away from the house in a very casual process, because what happens once rapport is established and you see we have some commonalities, because I'm calling them out, I'm pointing them out in some way, shape, or form. We all have commonalities, right? Could be the place we shop for our groceries, doesn't matter. We all have these commonalities. People like to do business with people like themselves. So let them know how like we are. Not in a deceiving or facetious way, in a very genuine, authentic way. Get to know this person. It's the only way we're going to get to what their problem is and how we can help them solve them. And if we're unwilling to do that, we'll not establish the value gap. We don't establish the value gap. The numbers will go right to the wrong side of the brain and we'll get shut down. So we start connecting with them. What do they do? How old their kids are. Once we get down this path, it's very easy to segue into, wow, it seems like you really love this house. Why are you moving? magical if it's done later in a conversation and very authentic and genuine conversational. Suicidal if we do it in the first 2, 3, 4 questions of the conversation. Hi, I'm Pat. How you doing? Good. Are you still interested in selling your house? Good. How much are you going to get for your house? Good. Why are you selling? That at this point is an intrusive question. Guards up. They don't know who they're talking to, why they're talking to you. They don't know your real motive. Follow me on this? And this is where people screw this up all the time. Like, Pat, nobody wants to sell their house to me. I'm like, because you suck at talking to them. You're so focused on doing a freaking deal, not giving a crap about them, and it's coming through. You're spewing that out your pores. I wouldn't want to do business with you either. Get me on that? So we take the time. We ask them questions about them, their family, whatever direction they start going in. We allow them to talk about themselves. This is the masterful art of relationship building, allowing them to feel good about themselves. We stop trying to be important and start allowing them to be important, right? So we allow them to continue talking and keep asking questions. We finally get to, so why are you moving? Ooh. Well, we've been here a long time, we're a little financially strapped, or my husband just passed away and I can't handle the house, whatever it may be. Wow. So tell me more about that. How are you making out with all that? What we're doing now, remember this pain button? Right? These two, pain and pleasure, start out that close. We need to part them. We do that by getting specific and clear. The more vague we allow them to be in describing their pain, the closer these two buttons stay together. The smaller the value. The more we allow them to express themselves and get specific about what's really going on, the further apart these two start getting. And there's a process. We get down and get very specific, very clear as to why they got to move, and they got to move now. Right? And it could be in that case, my husband died, left me a house, this and that. That's how she started. But the truth of the matter is, she has a daughter who's a single mom who's having a really hard time raising her grandchild, and she cannot take it any longer. She's got to move out of town. Her daughter's in trouble and her grandchild's in trouble. She's got to go. Maybe that's the real pain. Took us a little while to get to it. That was a real case scenario. That's why I brought that one up. The camera looks a little out of focus to me. Once we feel we've gotten to the root cause of why they have to sell, why they now we're past want to have to sell. And we could change our language along the way too. From, why do you want to sell, to, wow, I could see why you really need to sell. Right? So it's making it easier for them to do what they have to do. But once we do that, then we go over here. Let's talk about a month from now. Let's talk about what that looks like. So, in an ideal situation, Jill, what would you like to see happen here? Let's just talk about it. Well, I'd like to see somebody take my house, and I know it's in poor shape. I'd like to see them take it the way it is. I need help moving. I'd like to be down in Florida and Cool. Where are you gonna live down there? Already got that all picked out. Cool. And are you gonna spend some more time with your daughter and your grandchild? Yeah, she lives in this condo and they got a beautiful pool, and every day I'm going to be poolside with a granddaughter, so my daughter can go to work, and I'll be honest, I can't wait to get down there. Let them talk about the pleasure, where they want to go. And the more they talk about the pleasure, the more specific they get, right? The further apart the two will get, the greater the value that we bring to the table. Pain, pleasure. The gap between the two is equal to our value. If we don't needle in here, value is not created. Now remember, these are emotions. So as you get closer to what it is, you have to get them to express how it makes them feel. So those are the triggers that we work with here, off of feelings. That's where our gap is handled. So I'll give you an example of this in a non-real estate space, because it works everywhere equally well. Just very few take the time to master it. You know, if you're one of 10 people going in to make an offer on this house, you'd be the one that gets that house if you go through the process. So in our gym, right, in our gym, our prices are much higher than anybody else. We charge 60, 70, 80 bucks a month for a regular membership, where our Planet Fitnesses are all charging $10 and $15 a month. So on the onset, doesn't look like there's much going on there. Price wise, it ain't working too well. So if somebody comes in our gym and just says, hey, how much does it cost? That's akin to us asking somebody right from the very beginning, so what's the least you'll take? Brain goes right to the number. So we can't give them that answer. Because we'll say 80 bucks a month, they'll compare that in our brain to $15 a month. They'll say, oh, we're out of here. Because there's been no value created. However, if I answer it more like this, that's a really good question. If this gym doesn't serve you and give you exactly what you need, it won't cost you a penny. So what I'd like to do is kind of give you a look around. Let me find out what it is you're looking to do, and I'll let you know if we can do it for you. Does that sound fair? Like, sure. So as we go through, walking through the gym, and we're showing them the different areas, and we have a total of 11 different spaces, right? A little story we go through with them, and it's all about why you're here, why you're really here. Why are you really here? Well, Pat, I'm 40 years old. I got a, whatever, 30th college or high school graduation reunion coming up. I look like hell. I feel like hell. I can't stand looking at myself in the mirror. Now that wouldn't come out until we went through this. So what are you looking to do? I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay, good. When you want to do it by? It's always like 8 weeks. All right, cool. Awesome. When's the last time you weighed 190 pounds? Seems you're 220 pounds now. It's been a while. Okay, good. Why were you lighter then? Well, I still played sports. I was only 28 years old. I did this and that. How'd that make you feel? Like, how would you feel now being that light again? Cool. We're needling in on the pleasure, right? How would that make you feel? How does it, let's just be honest, because if you know what, I can't help you unless you and I get the cause, the truth here. How does it make you feel when you look in the mirror each morning? And guy to guy, that's a very easy question to ask them at this point in this conversation. Cool, I get it. Listen, I understand. I'm your age. I know how hard it is, especially with all the other stuff going on in life. But I can tell you this: you're at the right place. And if you genuinely want to lose that kind of weight and you're committed to it, you got the right people. Let's talk about what it's like to be 190 pounds again. What would you do differently? Where would you go with your wife? What would you wear? I start needling in on that. By the time we get through, the question is never how much is it to join the gym. It's how soon can I join and when can I get my first fitness evaluation? Follow me in that? We take the same process I just described to you, but we do it in a slightly different environment. All we're doing is creating value by needling in on the pain and the pleasures. but we get to the feeling associated with both. The pleasure is heaven. That's after the event. That's after things have been solved. Everything's better now. How does that make you feel? So some of us on this call are struggling financially. It happens. Shit, I've struggled financially many times. It's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be upset with, right? But, and that, so my point in bringing that up is, why are you even here? How does that feel right now with financial struggles? Talk about that. Let me ask you this. 10 grand a month from now, you're doing 10 grand a month consistently. How will that change things for you? How will you feel about yourself? How will you look differently at yourself? What will you do differently each day? How will you carry yourself differently? So when you start answering those questions authentically, the two get further apart. The value gets greater. I use 10 grand because you know what? Once this gets rolling, there's no reason why everybody on this call shouldn't be making at least 10 grand a month, at least 10 grand a month in a wholesale business without exception. At least 10 grand a month. I'm going to share with you something I shared with my son about this process too. Okay. It's not about this process, it's about any process where you start and then you're growing through. There's a chart. Looks like this. This is time. This is results. When you start something new, without exception, this is how it goes, outside of anomalies that are not sustainable. Take that back. Make this results. Make this time. We have a graph that looks like this. Low, low, low results. Time's passing. We're not going up high, high, high. Then we'll start a curve and then we'll shoot up. That's the curve. Always. Always. Where do most people end their journey? Right about, see, this curve is broken into really three parts. Most people quit here. That won't work. No, I only have like 8,000 pens here. Most people quit here or here. That's where they quit. They're like, we're working so hard with so little results. Nothing's happening. This must not work. It must not work in my backyard. I must suck at it. I'm going to fail at something else that I started, etc., etc., etc. Or they start seeing the results, and the results aren't happening fast enough, and they're like, well, this is all there is to it. Is it? Putting in all this work, and this is it. We're at the top of the pile, and boom. So we'll lose by here. Usually by here, you're out probably close to 75%, and this is just across the board stats, right? And by here, you typically lose about another 20%. I know the stats suck, and those are the truth. It's 5% that continue on to reap the reward of all the same hard work that the first 95% did. What's that? It's interesting. Kind of sad, but it's something to be aware of, and that's in everything. It's funny because in Jiu-jitsu, this right here this is your blue belt. Okay. Jiu-jitsu goes white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. White belt, you get stripes along the way. Mark your progress, but it's long and slow, right? So this here might be an 18-month if you do it steady 18 months. Steady is 3 to 5 times a week. Blue belt is another 2-year run, right? But the truth in jiu-jitsu kind of stays more like this because a black belt is 10 years out. My point is, this is where most people quit. They lose most of them before they get to the blue, and the rest don't get to the blue belt. It's kind of sad. 5% of white belts end up black belts. No, 3% of white belts end up black belts. So I want to share that with you, okay? In the context of you learn this stuff by doing. Because every single one of you on this call has the capacity in short order to earn consistently 5 to 10 and then 10 grand a month. When I say 5, I'm saying if you get a really crappy lower wholesale deal, it should be 5 grand. Decent one should be 10 grand. They're going to come in a little sparse at first, right? And then the momentum will build up and then it'll be consistent. Every single one of you has the capacity to do that. 10 grand is not an overwhelming effort in this business. Okay. But please memorize this. Do not fall prey to this American phenomena because it kind of sucks. That's not the good side of what we're capable of. Okay. So let's sum up this conversation. You will make your money in this business by creating value. Create value by establishing the gap between where they are, where they want to be, and letting them know that you are the master to crossing that bridge. If you choose to skip this process, your ability to close transactions will be massively reduced. It'll be very marginal at best and hard to sustain a business. Your mastering this will bring you and them great value, and it'll bring you great value in other areas of your life as well. Okay. So I'd suggest that we start getting on the phone, start having conversations. Our next call is going to be dedicated to the marketing side of this. But as we've been pushing along here, I told you we should be outbound now. Okay. Whether you start the process of putting up bandit signs, and for the first one it goes, well, Pat, I don't have any bandit signs. Well, I can solve that in 2 seconds. A, order them online. B, go get a bunch of blank white ones and write on them. Okay? Don't find ways you can't. Find ways you can. Plenty of people can find reasons why they can't. Be the person who will always find a way they can, a solution to it. Right? Tons of outbound calls to be made constantly. Lots of for sale by owners out there. Drive around, check it out. There's lots of vacant houses. You can tell an unloved house a mile away. You go down, do a little legwork down town hall, find out who owns that damn house and call them up. Kind of makes sense? Call up tenants. Not tenants, landlords. We talked about that. If they have a for rent sign out or for rent ad, they have a vacancy. It's costing them money. They may know nothing else but how to re-rent it. And you show up and say, listen, I'd be interested in possibly buying your house. Let's have a conversation. Okay. So homework assignment. Outbound. Let's start practicing this conversation here. You can use this in any environments. You don't need a house deal to practice the establishment of value. Call this the value gap conversation. You can do it, like I said, in virtually any exchange of value. you can utilize this. And I gave you an example of how we use it in the gym. Anything that gets sold as a service, you can use any product, right, that gets sold or bought. So let's get busy on this. What I'd like to hear from you guys a bit is and this would be good in email, feedback from you on what your biggest hang up right now is. And you can send me an email on this. So in between these calls, if we can start speeding some of you up a little. Okay. What your single biggest hang up is. If I said, listen, man, what's stopping you from in the month of June knocking down 10 grand? I want to know. Just quite honestly, you're mostly prepared to do it. So what's that one thing? Okay, share that with me by email. And I'll either get back to you by email, by phone, or we'll do it live on a call. Okay. But either way, I want to speed this up. Is that I got a very self-serving directive here, purpose outcome of getting everybody a wholesale deal while they're on this in the program. So let's make that happen. It's two sides of that, is you and me. Okay. There we have it. You guys have been awesome. Look forward to hearing your feedback on this too. It's an amazingly powerful skill. It's a little art, little science. It takes a little while to master. The more you're cognizant of it, especially when you do it from a point of genuine authenticity, meaning that you're doing it because you're trying to help someone out. Okay. That's why you're doing it. When you do it from that position, this flows very well. Okay. People come to our gym. I know we can solve their challenge. And I know going somewhere else, they're gonna be left alone. And they ain't gonna do it for them. So I'll be damned if that person gets out of my gym without signing up for them. Not because I want or need their money. Yes, I want them to sign up for the money, but not for the money. Yes, I want their money, but I'm not doing it for the money. I know we can get them what they need. Better their life, which means that everybody's life around them is gonna be better. That's a position you gotta come from. Cool. All right, man. You guys are awesome. It's been a pleasure, and we'll look forward to those emails from you. You'll see back here live next week. Oh yeah, and if you haven't looked in, those contracts from last week are in your portal. So if you're looking for them and need them, they're there for you. Peace, y'all.